Hey, it's Mike Garafolo from NFL Network in the good old US of A. You're listening to my guys in the UK, the Third and Short podcast with Raiders fan Matt Davenport, his buddy Tom Higgins, and the producer Jamie Crawford. So keep it locked in for some American football knowledge coming at you right now.
Hello, welcome to episode 5 of Third and Short podcast with myself, Tom, co-host Matt, and someone that's going to be gloating for a lot of this episode, our producer, Jamie Crawford. You can probably tell from the intro that this is going to be a somber podcast and hopefully one of the shortest we'll ever do. Myself and Matt are going to have absolute minutes of fun talking about our game. But as always, we'll sort of follow the same sort of route that we do. And unfortunately, we'll start by talking about last week's fixtures. So I don't think Matt has much to say. So we'll go over to the Gronk lover, Jamie.
The Gronk lover. I mean, it was a good game for up until the fourth quarter, and then the Raiders just crumbled in the fourth quarter. Like I said, it was a really good back and forth game. I was getting scared going into the fourth quarter because I was like, Raiders are probably gonna come back and do this. And then as soon as that pick happened, like I said, we got 2 touchdowns like back to back within like 28 seconds or whatever it was. It was crazy. And then from that point, it was over. Again, I want to say, big Gronk. I wore the jersey all day Sunday as well, so if it's a jinx, I'm taking it. I mean, we've got the Monday night football game, so I've got to wear it all day Monday at uni. But I can do it. It's fine. I just wear it under my smart clothes. But yeah, so we can't lose to the Giants, so I'll probably have to wear it now. But no, I mean, Brady 5 touchdowns altogether, 4 passing touchdowns, 1 rushing touchdown. So another great performance. And again, I'll give props, like I said, to Derek Carr as well. Like, he had 2 touchdowns and Aguilar got about 107 yards as well. I know you kind of saying Aguilar doesn't really play that well. He usually does quite a lot of dropping the balls and stuff, but he was your best receiver on the day up until the fourth quarter. Then he had 2 massive drops. He was doing so well. Yeah, he was doing so well up until the third quarter, and then, like I said, he just drops in the fourth.
He was, before we signed him in the free agency, he's on a $1 million contract, and I think it's an absolute bargain. I'll be stunned if he doesn't get a new deal, because he has been our best wide receiver this season. The reason the Eagles let him go is because of his drops, until I mentioned it in the group on Sunday, he hadn't had any drops, I don't think. And then he one, I'm not going to go into it too much, but you talked about in the group. One, I feel that was pass interference. One was an absolute drop. So, yeah, I quite like Nelly, as he's been bounded out to be called. But yeah, I don't really have much to say. I do have a lot to say, but I'm not going to go into it because I'll talk for about 4 hours. I do agree. I think it was a pretty close game right up until the end of the third. One really big, 2 plays sort of gave the result, or 2 plays led to the result being what it was. I think it was 24-17 and we were 4th and 1, and we went for a field goal to make it 24-20. And I've liked to have seen, I think there was 11 minutes left in the fourth, and I'd like to have seen us go for it there.
And they did in like the first quarter, didn't they? First or second quarter, they went for like a 4th and 2, and they got it, didn't they?
And I know there was still 11 minutes left, and I'm in a Raiders group chat, and they were saying it's probably the right call because there was plenty of time left. But I just think he would have gone for it and got it. Momentum would have been with us. We'd have probably tied the game for 24-24, and then it puts the pressure back on the fake trits, as I'll call them. Puts the pressure back on the Bucs, and then I think it was almost immediately after that you were 3rd and 13. I'm pretty sure it was from the off. You were 3rd and 13, maybe the second lot of downs, can't remember, and you got a 14-yard play. That is piss poor, and it's taken me 3 minutes to swear. That is piss poor from a defensive point of view when a team is 3rd and 13 to let them go 14 yards. There was a massive gap between our defensive line and our backfield, and there was a player wide open. I think it might have been Gronk. I can't remember. But that is disgusting, really, from my point of view. Gunther, I'm back on the Gunther needs to go train. But
But again, I'm going to go back 2 weeks ago. You said if you were 3 for 3 at this point, you'll be happy, and you're still 3 for 3. So
I have to have that in my head because I did say a few weeks ago if we were 3 for 3 after 6 really, really hard games. Every team has a winning record or evens. We've played. Well, I say that Patriots haven't now, but we lost to the Patriots when they were good or better. Which now looks like a shit result because the Broncos beat them.
I know.
It's just infuriating. But I have to say we've had 6 tough games and we're 3 and 3, so I'm relatively content with where we're at. I do think we're in the hunt for the playoffs. Obviously, we've got the Chiefs in our division, so we're not going to win the division. But to be in the hunt and with what we've got coming up, some very winnable games, I'd like to think we can pull out a 10-6.
I went through. I reckon it was like a 9-7. I had you at. I reckon you could definitely get 9-7 in that.
Yeah, I'd like to think we're 10-6. I'd even push to 11-5. Some results some fixtures are going to go either way. We can either this week we've got the Browns. The Browns are 5-2, I think, but they're the worst 5-2 team I've seen.
Besides the Bears.
Besides the Bears, yeah.
I think the Browns.
And they beat us.
I think the Bears are better than the Browns. Sorry, but I just think that the Browns have only beat shit teams.
And no OBJ now for this season, so
yeah. Saying that, they'll probably beat us on Sunday, so it is what it is. But then we do have some very winnable games after that. I think the Chargers being 2-4 isn't a reflection on them. I think they're pretty good. I do like their quarterback Herbert. I think he's looking pretty tasty. He's coming for Tyrod Taylor, not really without any sort of warning, and he's looked pretty decent. But
yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I'm content with 3 and 3. I'm not happy with the result. We did crumble. It's not the first time it's happened this year. We crumbled against the Patriots as well in the fourth quarter. But there's various things I could go into the player being ejected from our already wounded offensive line, an offensive line that hadn't trained all week because of COVID. We had no Jonathan Abrams. He was announced as out the day I ordered his jersey, which is the Matt Dove curse, as we all know.
You're joking.
No,
I didn't know that.
The day I ordered his jersey, they announced he was missing Sunday that night. So yeah, it's the Matt Dove curse.
It strikes again.
He's only out because he had contact with Trent Brown, so he had to miss. I think it was 6 days, and he was announced a day late in the O-line, so he couldn't play. Buzzing that I ordered the jersey and announced he wasn't going to play. For those that don't know, I'll tell you a little story about that. Antonio Brown signed for the Raiders last year, during the off-season last season, and I ordered myself an Antonio Brown jersey from the Raiders, and the day it arrived, I was buzzing, and they cut him that night for various different reasons. So I still have the jersey. It has the name taken off it now. But
I remember when you said I'm going to change it to Clown.
Yeah. But yeah, I managed to get someone to take the name off it, and the 84 was the year I was born, so I thought I'd keep the number on it. But so if there's any players you really hate, get in touch and I'll order in a jersey, and they'll probably break both the legs or something. I nearly ordered Henry Ruggs. He's done it at the start of the year, and then he injured his knee. I think it was in game 2, perhaps not in game 1. I can't remember. But so it's just a case.
Well, so saying that, Antonio Brown is looking to sign for the Bucs as well. So I'll wait until he plays the game, and then maybe I'll order a jersey. I'll wait till he plays first.
I don't like Antonio Brown. I think he's a hell of a talent. He's a wasted talent. But I don't think he should. We're not experts, but I don't think he should be going. I don't think the Bucs should be signing him.
I agree.
They've got a very, very settled team now. A very, very, very good team, certainly on defense, probably the best defense in the NFL. They've got a very, very good offense with Godwin and Evans. You don't need someone else in that mix to upset what's already there, in my opinion.
I think what they're trying to do is put Godwin as a tight end with Gronk, and then have Evans and Antonio Brown as wide receivers. But another one that I was going to mention was Scotty Miller got over 100 yards and a touchdown.
Loves him.
He's amazing. It's Miller time.
Evans.
Yeah.
Evans is being underused.
Had one throw. I think he only caught one catch, didn't he?
I think we covered Evans off pretty well
But that's the
was,
thing. Everyone goes for Evans, so we can throw to someone else.
Yeah, Trayvon. I think Trayvon Mullen had Evans locked down. To be fair,
Yeah.
I was quite happy with that because Mullen's young and Evans is veteran. He's not a veteran, but he's been in the league a while. It annoys me that they call them veterans once we've done like 2
he's
years.
6 years in.
2 years,
That's
yeah.
6 years in, he's a veteran.
Yeah, I thought Trayvon Mullen had him pretty covered pretty well. I was quite happy with that. We definitely missed Jonathan Abrams. I think he's a monster. But
no.
It's not the first time this season we've crumbled in the fourth. It's not the first time. I think we've conceded over 30 points in every game bar one. Yeah. I read a stat actually today that I think it was something like the teams that have averaged over so many points conceding after 6 games in the last 10 years. There's been 3 teams, and it was the Dolphins from years ago and someone else from years ago, and the Raiders. And those other 2 teams were 0-6, and the Raiders are 3-3. So that, to me, tells you what Derek Carr is absolutely balling. Because if it wasn't for him, we'd probably be 0-6 as well, in my opinion. So for all the stick that Derek Carr gets from fans, it's I think he's playing out of his skin at the moment. He's carrying the team to an extent. Hey ho, we move on.
But just before I do go on to Tom and the Giants, like I said, with Scotty Miller and Antonio Brown and stuff, we've got such good youth coming into that team as well. I'm just hoping this Antonio Brown thing doesn't stint Tyler Johnson and Scotty Miller, because they've been doing absolute bits, like coming in as behind Godwin and Evans. And like you said, Tom Brady's got such a good chemistry with Scotty Miller at the minute. It's phenomenal. But hopefully it just adds to an amazing offense that we've already got. And hopefully he's second string rather than first string Antonio Brown. But he's a good second string to have. Is it a done deal yet? It's not officially, but apparently if it's officially signed, everywhere says he's basically signed, and he'll be
suspended till this week, isn't he?
Yeah, he's going to have to play week 9 against the Saints due to suspension if he's officially COVID released. But yeah, it should be making his debut against the Saints. I hope he's a secondary rather than primary, but I mean, I think he will be against the Saints. He can't just come straight into our offense in a divisional game. But I reckon, hopefully, it's a positive thing. But there's only time can tell. You never know. He's had that thing with Patriots. And
see what an idiot he is.
Like he said, he didn't even play a game for Patriots or Raiders, did he?
He came in. One for the Patriots. He played one, I think. For New England.
But Tom Brady loves him, and he was pushing for this move to happen. So he must feel like there's something there. So hopefully, maybe it was all destiny, and it was supposed to come down to this. I mean, the Super Bowl is in Raymond James this year, so destiny awaits. Hopefully.
I do. The Bucs are very much in win now mode, which is great. Everyone would love a team to win now rather than build or whatever. But I do think it's this year or bust for the Bucs at the minute. I think Brady's on a 2-year contract, isn't he? I think I read.
Yeah, and then my boy's coming back. Can't wait. Unless we go for an over 16 and take that round 1 pick, but I don't know.
Well, if you get James Winston back, you'll probably go over 16. So,
yeah, true.
Yeah, Bucs are very much a win now, and I think they are going to be very, very difficult to overcome for the majority of the NFL, not just the NFC, not just your division. I think, not just saying that because you beat us, disappointing. I was absolutely fucking raging yesterday. But not so much because of the Bucs, more because of the Raiders and the way they went about not winning rather than losing. Yeah, I can go for hours, so I'm not going to.
Yeah.
I'm going to pass on my misery to Mr. Higgins.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping he just rips down the flag now. It's like, it's not even worth
Yeah, you had them party poppers last week.
No poppers,
Set fire
They're
to
all
that.
in the bin.
I was debating it, but I might do it next week, because it's Giants next week.
So yeah, obviously we lost to the Eagles. It was just trash, and it's just, I had to endure that on Thursday or Friday morning for, staying up, watching it. And then your whole weekend, you are spewing. I muted our group. I didn't watch any NFL on Sunday. Absolutely zilch. I've caught up bit by bit on Monday as I've started to finally put my dummy back in. Unmuted the group. It was painful. And it's so annoying because the Giants are just a team that finds a way to lose, not win. The one win we got, we were gifted. We've pissed it up the wall against the Cowboys, and now we've pissed up the wall against the Eagles. But again, I could fucking go on for hours, and I'm not. I'm just going to say one fucking thing. Matt, buy an Evan Engram jersey for me, please, because he cost us that win through sheer shitness, and it's unacceptable. And then to find out that he was on the trade block, but then the Giants have actually gone, no, actually, we think he's really talented. You know, we've looked back over this season where he's been a real fucking help. So we're not going to trade him. And it just pisses me off. It just shows what a fucking charlatan Dave Gettleman is. He's an absolute fucking shambles. And, oh, God, I'm annoyed that this is recorded because I just go normal Tom mode on him. But if he somehow survives, I mean, I can't believe he's still there now. The fact we've got trade deadline coming up and he's still in charge of our fucking picks. We've let Marcus Golden go for a 6th-round pick. Appreciated. You know, he was only on a 1-year deal. We weren't going to get much for him. But, I mean, what's a 6th-round pick? Just keep him. Keep him. When we're at, yeah, true, yeah. When we're absolutely decimated in a linebacker area or, you know, in the edge rusher, which he plays most of the time, you may as well just let him see out. Because we're not getting any from that. The only thing we've done is now fans cannot moan that we've got 5 picks, and it's just Gettleman going, well, at least we've now not got 5 picks in the draft. We've now got 6. Look what I'm doing for you. Fuck off. You're a cunt. You fucking wanker. And I'm just fucking, I'm just so fucking done because we were 11 points up with fucking 5 minutes to go. We were 3rd and 6, running the clock down. The Eagles had already used 2 timeouts. It was and we play for once. Garrett uses Engram as he should use him, and lets him run a wheel route as a tight end. And Danny Dimes puts an absolute peach into his hands, and he just doesn't extend and fucking drops it. And you sat there looking at the TV. I mean, I even put it in the group, didn't I, Jamie? I said, "That's it, game done," because you know the Giants have found a way to lose that game. And then from then on, it was just calamitous. It was just penalty after penalty, 2 big penalties. I think they scored if I remember rightly, they scored a field goal or touchdown. I can't remember which one it was. Either way, they fucking scored. And then on the kick return, on our punt return the next time round, for some reason, fucking Andre Harper, is that the guy we signed from you? Is it that Harper guy we signed from you? Akeem Harper or something like that from that practice squad? He's come out of nowhere, and I'm assuming it's the one we got from you. Gave a fucking personal foul penalty away, which was just pathetic. Put some close to midfield, and yeah, it was just inevitable from there. Carson Wentz decided to turn up. Stand by it, the Eagles are still shite, and it's a game we should have won. But yeah, unfortunately, we're on the end of another loss, which is just so annoying. We're now 1-6, and you know we could have. Yeah, that's it, man. We could have been, you know, top of the division. Instead, we're stone cold last, especially now Washington have, you know, beat the Cowboys, who were embarrassing, by the way. But yeah, I think that's enough for the Giants. What more can I say? Get them out. Fuck off.
I literally thought you were going to win that game. Like I said, I was up all night doing my 24-hour horror marathon. I just thought I'd just have it on there whilst watching it, and I was just like, "Oh, you've won this game! Like, no need to worry, you've won this." But then, I mean, you say Danny Dime, he's the most ridiculous quarterback in the world. That 90-yard run, whatever it was, is the funniest thing to ever happen in NFL ever.
Standard Giants, isn't it?
I just
there's a saying that Spurs have in it, and it's Spursy. You know, it's typical of Spurs to happen, and we are now Giantsy. You know, it was the most Giantsy thing to have happened, wasn't it? You know, I'm still holding out for DJ. You know, I said it on. We had a bit of a combo on the Sigs chat.
Dan, you know, fumbles Jones, and he fumbled it right at the end in the last.
He did, but any, you know, that shouldn't be going down as a stat. What's he to do? Any quarterback would have been exactly the same in that position. You know, you've got to throw something. You have to wait for something to come up downfield. So you're not asked about ball protection. What does it matter? Wrap up and keep the ball safe, and the game's over anyway. So I think he had a relatively good game. again, he is trying to put that team on his back. He showed with that run. It was hilarious. Thank God we did get the touchdown. Otherwise, he would have been hammered. But it was hilarious to see. But then again, when, a 6'5" white guy is running at 21 point
Didn't he
something
run
miles per
faster than
hour.
like DK Metcalf?
It's the
something like
second quickest run in the NFL. Apparently, he's doing like 0.2 miles an hour less than Tyreek Hill. So no wonder he fell over. And he was probably gassed. When does a quarterback run 80 yards? Doesn't happen, does it? Unless you're Lamar Jackson.
No.
Yeah.
Exactly. So every credit to him, and I just want him. I just want to see him have some tools around him. I need to take back. I think about 3 weeks ago, I sort of said Sterling Shepard was done for, and he's injury prone. I don't take back that he's injury prone, but we look a different team with him in there. We look slightly dangerous against the Eagles, but again, like I said, we just found a way to lose, and I think that's just going to be it's going to be what it is. While Gettleman's in charge, Andrew Thomas was disgusting. He was an absolute embarrassment at left tackle, and we've picked him fourth. He's got progressively worse as it goes on, as we get into easier pass rushing teams, which it's just not good enough. He's just not good enough at all. I never thought I'd miss Nate Solder. Jesus Christ. But I miss Nate Solder. But yeah, what more can I say? We are utter fucking trash. And you know what? I'm going to say it. I'd rather fucking support the Jets right now, because they're not in a division that gives you hope. I've still got hope we can win that fucking division. That's how shit it is. We are 1-6, and we've still got every chance of making a fucking play. It's embarrassing. What should happen is NFL should bring in relegations, and that whole fucking division should be obliterated.
They should have the best scores. You should have somebody from that division going through to the playoffs.
I know. It's a shock. But don't worry, it won't be us. So, it is what it is. We'll sit there. We'll probably get a third draft pick, I reckon. Third or fourth. And that will only be because the Jets are doing fucking awful. And I don't think the Bengals are going to turn it around.
I'm just going to say one final thing about Dan Jones, because you all hate on Winston, so I was like, well, I'm going to bring in some facts. So Dan Jones, in his first season and a half, has had 29 touchdowns and 19 interceptions. In one season, in 6 games he's done so far this season. 23 fumbles, 15 lost. Jameis Winston, in his first 2 seasons, 16 fumbles and 8 losses. So Dan Jones already winning half a season. And then 50 touchdowns, 33 interceptions. So if Dan Jones does another 14 in the next 7 games, we're okay. So Winston, 50 touchdowns in his first 2 seasons.
Winston is shite. It's as simple as that. He is shite. And he went at number 1.
Yeah, he did.
However, one thing I will say, Dan Jones has beaten 2 teams. Washington 3 times. Who's the other?
It's our boys, the Bucks.
It's our boys, the Bucks. On his debut. So guess what's coming downhill on Monday? Tom Higgins' hope is going right up there. And guess what will happen come Tuesday? He won't turn up to the podcast.
Podcast cancelled Tuesday.
Yeah. No, we may as well move on then, aren't we, to how we feel about next week's fixtures.
Was there? We can either talk about that or we can talk about results from this week's shock ones, because there's only one, in my opinion, that really stands out. So one you mentioned earlier on before we recorded.
Seahawks.
Yeah.
Big result for Cardinals.
Huge result for Cardinals. Cardinals look pretty good now. I think they've found a little bit. I don't like Kyler Murray, but I think he's doing things there for Arizona. Still better that he won Defensive Rookie of the Year. It shouldn't have happened. I'm not having it. Josh Jacobs should have won it. Suck my dick, Kyler Murray.
It's the quarterback loving, isn't it?
Fucking does my head in. I'm absolute potty mouth this week. Apologies.
Yeah, Mark, it's not safe for kids, Jamie.
Yeah, it's not safe for some adults as well.
If you're under 18, fuck you.
Yeah, get the fuck off our podcast and do some schoolwork. But yeah, that's the only really big shock result, I think, from the weekend. The one thing I want to talk about a game is DK Metcalf. That particular play, the interception, and he was probably 10 yards behind the player who caught it, and he just turned the jets on and caught him up. The guy even looks behind him with a couple of yards before he's caught, and he thinks about putting a stiff arm up towards him. He just gives up. He just gives up.
I'd have loved to have seen his face.
Just
seeing his unit absolutely levering it down
I'd
for
have
you.
rather than running towards like a truck.
Yeah.
But yeah, DK
He is a monster. And well, you boys know, I've got an absolute loving for him. A proper man crush. Like, I was talking about him in the draft, weren't we, Matt? You know, because he was just this absolute freak of nature. And I've just wanted to sort of follow him throughout, because he was shown that he'd had some heart problems or something in the sort of combine and what had gone on, and he actually dropped to the last pick of the second round. And you know, it's actually quite a nice video that's out there where is it Carroll that phones him? I think Pete Carroll phones him to say we're picking you. And you can hear him absolutely warbling down the phone. He's like, you know, what took you so long, man? What took you so long? Because he knows what a beast he is. And my God, you know, for me at the moment, at the moment, I'm not talking about history or anything like that. There's no better wide receiver out there. The guy is just a machine. He's a playmaker. You put a 20% ball up there.
I don't think there's many better cornerbacks.
No, absolutely, mate. I mean, he that was just stupid. But again, it just shows like he's clearly got a point to prove with what happened to him in the draft, and it was a chip on his shoulder throughout the season. And he's proving it. And you know, Russell's coming out and saying like that DK is one of his best friends because of how he is as a player. You know, he's taking him under his wing, and my God, I just wish the Giants had someone like that, because he's just, imagine having him around your team. Imagine seeing that, you know. And not only that, you know, he stopped him, I think, was it on their 10, on the Seahawks 10?
I think
and
so, yeah.
What that gave the defense turned it around and got a turnover on downs. Just imagine that, because of the motivation you've been given from a wide receiver tracking 80, 90 yards with a 10-yard, you know, head start on the cornerback. And I mean, they were unlucky to lose that game. DK scored a touchdown in overtime, and he got called back for offensive holding. As we've said, I'm clearly a Seahawks fan, not a Giants fan. But you know, it's a shame. I don't like Russell. I don't like Russell, but I just want the Seahawks to do well because DK. I can't get enough of him. He's just a machine. He's just a freak, but in a good way. Like, I saw that video of him jumping by the goalposts, and his feet nearly clear the bottom bar of the goalpost, and it's sickening. He's just a monster. But yeah, I mean, I could probably go on for longer about DK than I can Giants' loss. But I think, you know, you mentioned that's probably the only shot result. I think another result to talk about, not really a shock. I had the Steelers down on my pick'ems, but that was a big game, Steelers and Titans.
Yeah.
And the Steelers came through.
I had Titans. It was flip of the coin.
Yeah.
Weirdly, on our pick'ems, I tried to go a little bit left field this week and go for teams that I probably wouldn't have gone for, which is why I went for the Titans. Because I thought Steelers are good. Steelers are really good. Well, they're unbeaten, so. And the results didn't go well. They went the way they probably should have done really this week. But yeah,
probably did better than me though, because I forgot to do it.
But it auto fills, doesn't it? I think.
Does it?
I think you still got only one less than me. I've done awful.
Auto fill, baby. Woo!
So do you know, Steelers stormed ahead, didn't they?
Yeah.
And then I assume they took the foot off the gas, and I thought the Titans
Derrick Henry couldn't do anything.
No,
he was quiet.
He had him locked down, to be fair. But I thought I caught the end of it because I was working on Sunday evening, and I did think the Titans were going to come back. They had a chance to. Well, they were rolling with the ball with not long to go. Yeah. 3 points behind. I thought they'll at least tie it up. I can't remember why they didn't. But yeah, other than that, Cowboys only scoring 3 against.
That was mine. Washington's 25-3 is ridiculous. Like, to not get a touchdown, and they're supposed to be America's team and how great they are. Granted, obviously Dak's not there, but then Andy Dalton went off with a concussion, didn't he? So
That was a bad hit. That was a
Yeah.
bad hit. That shouldn't
But-
just be a penalty. That shouldn't just be a fine. That should be game bans. Like, they've got to tighten up on that. But, I mean, I saw a stat earlier that Washington are top in the pass rush defense, which shocks me. But I suppose they did get Chase Young, didn't they?
Defensive coordinator is Jack Del Rio,
Yeah.
Raiders head coach, and I do
So
like
it's
him.
then they're slowly becoming, I suppose, a team that's hard to break down. So maybe next season we'll see some sort of build there from Ron, depending obviously on what sort of capital they have and what they do.
Yeah, I think that is a perfect time to talk about maybe this week's mentions. I know I've thrown it in there a little bit, but my mention is to Riverboat Ron. Not at all NFL related, other than that he's a head coach, but he's come out of his illness the other side. Rang the bell this week. For those that don't know, he's been battling cancer. Pretty serious, I think, at one stage. But he's rang the bell this week, so all is positive there. That's only. I don't particularly want to talk about football results this week, so.
No. Especially during this whole thing as well with COVID, and to still be on the sideline taking his medication and being there around
Having an
COVID
IV,
as well. Yeah, it's just mental.
Every credit.
Yeah,
every credit.
That'll be my mention this week. I don't have any NFL football player game related people I want to talk about. So yeah, good news for Ron.
Mine's DK. Oh, fuck. What can you do? And do you know what? He was actually ineffective in that game. I think he had sort of like two receipts and sort of 40-odd yards. Touchdown was sort of pulled back, but just alone for what he did. You know, and
I think he's
like
still
I say,
winning now, isn't he?
yeah, yeah. I think that cornerback is still having nightmares of turning around and seeing him.
For those that haven't watched NFL for long and you've watched Saving Private Ryan, not Saving Private Ryan, sorry, Forrest Gump, Tom Hanks. Watch Forrest Gump. It is very much like the run Forrest run sort of situation where he's just sprinting as fast as he can, catches a player he shouldn't have caught, and stops a guaranteed touchdown from an interception as well. Madness, absolute madness. We've shared it on the Facebook and the Twitter.
I just kept running.
But yeah, check it out. Just put in DK Metcalf on Twitter. You will see the clip. It is phenomenal.
Yeah. And I've got two players. I mean, one has to be Brady. I mean, I know you're not going to like it, but 5 touchdowns, 1 rushing, 4 passing, 369 yards. Brady. And then the other one is Big A-Rod to come back after an abysmal game that he had to get 4 touchdowns. Had a near perfect game as well against the Texans. I know the Texans aren't that good, but to come back after being completely dismantled by our defense, I think he had a
It's
really
almost
good
like
game.
you've picked those two players just to piss off your two friends.
We'll do a week
That's
without the
probably the most hated player.
I think, yeah, I was going to say, I
player.
think we should pick somebody that's not a part of our team, but because then I won't pick Brady. But you know.
Fuck A-Rod and fuck Matt Brown.
I can't wait for my special mention to be somebody that breaks Brady's neck.
I've restrained from going that far, but you've opened the gates now. Can we please talk about Gettleman again?
So anytime anybody gets 5 touchdowns, you have to give him a mention. So Brady 5 touchdowns.
Agreed. Yeah, A-Rod only had 4, so fuck him.
Yeah.
So
but next week, if you want to talk about next week, I mean, we can go even better.
Oh,
Jesus! Do you want to go first, so you two can decide who's going to
please, mate.
Yeah, we've got the Browns. It's what I talked about earlier. It's one of those games that I think could go either way. I'd like to think after the pathetic fourth quarter from Sunday that will come out. Gruden had a presser yesterday, and he seemed a bit miffed off. Like he had a bit of a not a point to prove, but he was annoyed with certain things from Sunday. He verged on calling out a couple of players. One being Ruggs. What he said there was that he's still young, he's still learning, but he needs to beat the players in one-on-ones. He needs to catch the ball. Thought it was a bit harsh, really. But he also said there's going to be changes on the defense. He said, we're going to change some things. We're going to change some schemes. We're going to do this, going to do that. He seemed like he was a bit ruffled. I'd like to think, obviously, Abraham will be back, but I'd like to think we'll come out with a little bit of a point to prove on defence. I'd love it if we smash Baker Mayfield into the ground because I do not like him. However, that said, he did play poorly at the start and then won them the game effectively.
Yeah.
At the weekend. So I'm not a fan of Baker Mayfield. He shouldn't have gone number 1 overall when he did. Already had a contract with Nike, already his own MTV series. Guy's a bellend. But I do think he did win them the game on Sunday. They're going to miss OBJ 100%. I think I touched on it in the group and said it could make them a better team. He's a massive loss for any team, Odell Beckham Jr. But I've not watched a lot of the Browns, so I don't know how much they've been relying on him to an extent. But I quite like Jarvis Landry. I think he's pretty good.
Yeah.
And we've got Chubb. Chubb's decent. He missed last
Philip
week.
Lindsay as well. So
yeah, did Chubb miss this week or did he play this week? I don't know. I know he missed the week before.
He missed the week before. Not sure about this week.
So I think it's one of the games that could go either way. I will be disappointed with the loss. I am expecting a win, but I think it could go either way. It could be a close game. That's my take on this week.
Yeah.
Tom,
over to you two.
Yay. So we've got the Bucs on Monday. Do you know what? How shit is that going from Thursday to Monday? It's been so wank, and it makes the Eagles result even more annoying because we're obviously going to get dicked on Monday. I don't think there's any two words about it. Yeah, true. Well, I can't. I'm just going to be sat there thinking about how much we're going to get battered, and I think we've struggled on offense this year, and to come up against probably one of the whole division's toughest defenses, I worry. I really, really worry. I think Andrew Thomas is going to get shown for what he really is again. And if we keep sticking with Cam Fleming at fucking right tackle rather than giving Matt Peart some snaps, DJ's going to get hurt bad. So yeah, there's not much more to say. It's going to be one of those where we're either going to get absolutely spanked, which I think is probably 99% going to happen, or that 1% is for some reason we'll beat the Bucs because we've got a good record against the Bucs. We've got a winning record against the Bucs. But this year, like you said, Matt, I think
record against the Bucs.
Yeah.
I mean, we are typically a shit average team.
Yeah, I think like Matt said, you're a win now season, aren't you? You've done your sort of building. Your defense has built really well, but you've made some acquisitions on the offense now, and that team sort of looks solid. I think you'd be screwed if you had a few injuries. Let's be honest, but you haven't had any yet. So yeah, I just can't see it. For me, I think it's going to be a game where DJ doesn't throw another touchdown pass.
You think it's going to be a shutout, or you reckon it's just going to be field goals?
I don't think it's going to be a shutout. We'll get a field goal by some raggy nature. Watch this now.
Brady hasn't been picked in ages. Here's my random pick. Brady's going to get picked.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a real problem at cornerback too. So Brady's clever. He's not going to target Bradbury. He's just going to absolutely hammer Lewis at cornerback too, and he's just shit. He's just awful. He's just awful. At fault for Eagles getting possession on their final drive down the field. We just had everything in front of him, and he decided to step up rather than stay over it, and it just got destroyed. The guy's a fucking dickhead. But yeah, so we're just going to get absolutely bad, and I can't be arsed coming on next week and having to look at that smug face with a fucking ginger hair out of that bandana. I just can't, just fucking smiling at me because Gronk scored 2 TDs.
Wow, that's a fucking
spike. That spike. I didn't even mention the spike. He spiked it as well, didn't he?
Yeah, so I don't know what your take is, Jamie, but I imagine it's pretty similar.
Hopefully. I'm never confident going into games because I'm used to the Bucs of old. So it's quite surprising, like going into games knowing you're gonna win. It's again, I'm gonna relate it back to Liverpool. I always go into games thinking we're not gonna win, but then last season we lost like no games going into COVID basically. One game going into COVID. So, we were winning games, and it's surprising to be one of those teams that always win games. It's weird, kind of like, I don't understand how you could be like a Chiefs fan knowing you're going to win every week. I don't know. I like the drama of like I don't know what's going to happen, like being one of those middle teams.
I'd probably take being a team that knows they're going to win every week. Not going to lie.
But the last time, it's obviously not on a Sunday. Every game that we played on a Sunday, we've basically won bar one, and the one game that we played on a Thursday night, we lost. So you never know. So not playing on a Sunday probably won't help. So you never know. But ideally, I could see us completely smashing you and going for over 50 points. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I reckon it's going to be a lot
our
closer, like the Bears game.
Right. Yeah. It won't be close. It won't be close. But I'd be shocked. I'm going to say this now and fucking jinx it. But I'd be shocked if anyone scored over 40 points against us this season. We are terrible, but our defense is not bad. It's up there. It's top 10.
We've scored on 30 games nearly in most games. Like 30
yeah, I can see you drop. I can see you dropping 30 against us. Where is it? Is it MetLife or is it yours?
I didn't even check.
It's at yours.
James.
It's at yours. Just had a look. Yeah, it's at Raymond James or whatever it is.
So
hopefully we put our pirate hats on and turn up. But I imagine we're going to get robbed by a lot of Somalians. So
It was the Battle of the Pirates last week, wasn't it?
And the captain.
yeah. I am the captain now. Yeah. DJ to Brady.
Look at me. I am the goat now. I am the goat. I am the goat now.
I would love that.
Brilliant.
But yeah, I mean, I always go into games wishing it's just a good game. I don't care about the result. That's the joys of being a Bucs fan for like the past 15 years because you know you're not going to win.
Yeah.
If we show up and play well, I don't care if we lose because I'd rather have an entertaining game. So, but yeah, I think we're going to smash. Yeah, I mean, yeah, looking into this season now, like you said, it's this season or next season, and that's probably it for a few years. So I've got to enjoy it while we can, and Gronk and Brady, hopefully, like I said, that connection is becoming like it used to be in Patriots prime. So Brady's 43 and he's still like that ball to Scotty Miller. That 40-yard bread basket was beautiful. And
Still say the Aguilar touchdown was better. The catch was better.
I rate Aguilar. I do.
Yeah.
I did at the start of the season. Yeah, I couldn't believe we got him, and he's on $1 million contract as well. $1 million, peanuts.
Yeah.
In NFL terms. Yeah, so I think we're at that point in the week where we can talk about our beverages. I'm gonna guess what
Tom's winning really low.
I think we all know who I've got. Hey.
What a surprise! You've got a Corona there. Right?
I need to start getting royalties soon.
If the people of Corona are listening,
we need to tag them in it, don't we? We just need to put a video of Tom in all 5 weeks or whatever.
Keep tagging Tony Romo because he knows I'm coming for him. He knows. I need to do It's a Lime Time, baby, don't I?
I've got the old San Miguel this week. It is a big bottle, but I do have small hands as well. Yeah, standard San Miguel. It's it's not one to talk about. Everyone knows what San Miguel's like it or you don't. There you go.
Yeah. And back to my Dragon Ball Z
Jamie, the hard stuff.
I've got my last of my vodka and Pepsi Max cherry, so it's bloody beautiful.
Ooh, throwing the boat out there on a Tuesday night.
We'll see what happens next week. I mean, considering we're up till about 4 a.m. Monday night and then recording Tuesday night, so we'll see what happens. I mean, this is going to be like pure, it's going to be pure emotion going into the podcast next week because you have no time. You don't even have 24 hours to think about the result. You just got to go into it.
Let me be fucking clear, right? If somehow the Giants beat you, be prepared because it is going off on this podcast. If we somehow get a win, fuck the fucking confetti cannons. You will see all sorts of magic. I'll lose my head because it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
I want us to lose now just to see what you're going to do.
I just have visions of like a soapy tit wank going on.
Yeah, absolute. I will be doing this podcast naked, 100%.
I'm just going to give you a little shout out. We sometimes do shout outs, and I promised him I'd mention his podcast last week, and I never did. So apologies, Kieran. But for anyone who does follow wrestling, a good friend of mine, Kieran, he's the guy I run the comedy club with, Kieran Cooper. He runs a wrestling podcast called Turnbuckle Talk Podcast. Give it a listen. I'm personally not into wrestling, but I know it's pretty popular, so if you
I mentioned a few times in it because I contribute a bit. So
there's a reason not to listen to it.
I don't speak. I just have mentions.
No, but yeah, Kieran's a good mate of mine, and obviously Jamie, his friends him as well. Yeah, we're happy to share the love. If you're into wrestling, give it a bash. I'm sure what they do is relevant. I haven't got a clue about wrestling, I'll be dead honest. Some would say I don't have a clue about NFL because who I follow, but yeah, give it a listen. Turnbuckle Talk Podcast, I think it's called. You can find them on Facebook, and I'm sure they're on all the usual platforms for...
Anywhere you find your podcast.
Yes, although I don't think they put it on YouTube. Perhaps not as brave as us to film it and stick it out.
Not as handsome, that's why.
Yeah, well,
what can you say?
No, they're not, in a nutshell. And they're not promising soapy tit wanks either. So, there's, yeah, give them a listen. I don't know if we tend to shout a few people out. I've got no one else to. I made a point of this one because I forgot him last week, and I promised him about an hour before we recorded. Yes, mate, I will. And I got that carried away talking about whatever we were talking about. I completely forgot to mention his podcast. So there you go, Kieran.
We kind of have our shout outs for our questions, which is a nice segue to go on to. So, we've got a few questions this week.
Smooth there, smooth.
That's what I do. So
there was no edit in there.
There was no edit. So I'll start off with Steve Hampson, Matt. And the question is, someone wanting to get interested in American football, what team should they take an interest in following and why?
Okay, that is a great question, Steve. Unfortunately for you, mate, we answered that last week. Or was it the week before?
I think it was both.
Why don't you go and watch every episode we've done, Steve? Like them, subscribe, and you'll find an answer.
There you go, Steve. There is your answer. I'll give you a very quick answer, though. You should follow whoever the fuck you want because you don't listen to our podcast. All the best. Next.
Another Andy Will. Please can we talk for an hour slot on the pissing Bengals turning up one week with an offense and no defense, and then the next is the other way round. Also, someone coaches them how to see out a game. So Matt can't talk about seeing out games. I don't think Tom can. So we'll go to the expert. So yeah, I don't know. No, I'm joking. How can you see out games? Just run with the ball, really. Don't fumble it, I guess.
It's very much clock management, isn't it? I think.
Yeah. Not do a Julio Jones.
Yeah, yeah. Don't accidentally.
No, my God.
Just yeah. But I think it is clock management. If you are in front, you've really got to watch that clock. And I think Gruden, for all his faults, I think he's one of the best at managing the play clock. It could have been a good question to end this question section on. We could have gone to the rules that we're going to talk about. But we'll come back to that.
That's my bad.
It's always just come to me then. Yeah, Andy Willis is a good mate of mine. We've been friends for probably too long, Andy. I know you might listen. But for clock management, it's really that's how you see out a game. If you're in front and you've got the ball, it's really literally in your hands. It's obviously there's certain plays and certain things that can happen, but if you are the team with the ball and you are winning a game in that final 2 minutes, then you shouldn't really be losing the game.
Just run with the ball, get that first down, and then you've won, basically.
Exactly that. Don't throw it is my advice. Do not throw it. Do not risk an interception. Give it to you're running back with the safest hands, the one who protects the ball the most. Someone like Marshall and Lynch would be perfect at that. And just run the clock down, really. I think there is actually a follow-up question in the comments underneath that.
Maybe I don't have that screenshotted, but
just on the Bengals, I'd just be patient. You've been shite for years.
Burrow is very good.
You've now got a very good quarterback. You might be a year or two away from sort of building something where you're not the Bengals that sort of we all know. Especially me in the time that I've watched it.
It's the one thing I love about the NFL. It can change all of a sudden. Like, I think Chiefs was shit about 5 years ago. And then, I said, that's how they got Mahomes, didn't they? So, it can all change.
Alex Smith, who was very good. And then they brought in Mahomes.
Isn't it weird that Josh Davis has only started supporting him in the past few years?
Yeah, but it's all right, mate. He's a big fan of the deep South America, and red's his favourite colour. So,
that's it, yeah. I forgot about the red connection.
before you do go on to the follow-up question, I just want to say about, because if somebody hasn't seen it, the Julio Jones play is how you don't see out of a game. So basically, if you've seen it, the Falcons were winning the game and they were running down the clock and they were like, what shall we do? Well, basically, we just need to get that 10-yard line and run down the clock. They throw it down. Julio Jones gets so excited, he runs into the end zone by accident. And then halfway running to the end zone, he drops down on the 1 yard line to go, oh, no, wait, I'm supposed to wait, aren't I? And then literally just got the touchdown.
Was it Jones or was it Gurley?
I'm not sure. It could have been Todd Gurley, actually.
I think it was Todd Gurley on it because they were
Todd
running
Gurley,
it, yeah. It was hilarious either way.
And he ran down into the end zone by accident, realised last minute he should have dropped, and then Detroit Lions went up the other end, scored, and won the game.
They need a shout out for that. I mean, Matt Stafford with a 1 minute drive with no timeouts. You know,
I know Bones was going crazy, weren't he? So
yeah, I bet he absolutely loved that.
But what was there a follow-up question, Matt?
Yeah, it was just on the comments from that question from Andy. There's another friend of mine, Robbie Hunter. You might know him, Tom, actually. He's put, would Burrow be worthy of Rookie of the Year at this stage of the season? If not, who is?
Not for me. He's looked good, but he's not absolutely killed it, has he?
No.
And I mean, look at the quarterbacks. I don't see much difference between Burrows and Herbert at the moment. I think Herbert's actually done really well since he's come in. I think you were saying, Matt, before sort of the season that they had before announcing for the draft, Herbert was actually rated higher than Burrows, and then he just come on for that year. I'm going to go out there and say that the Chiefs running back, Clyde Edwards, is it Hilaire?
Yeah.
I think he's going to get it. I was speaking to Josh Davis yesterday, and his touchdown stats are not the best. I think he's on 3, but he's leading the division on rushing yards. So I think you got to look at stuff like that. There's not the quarterback loving that everyone had for Kyler Murray, rightly or wrongly. Definitely wrongly for me. And I'm just trying to think about any sort of other.
You've got Tua. I mean, he's making his debut on Sunday, so you never know. But for me, I'm a massive fan of running backs and wide receivers, and I think I know obviously they hardly ever win it, but it's got to be for me. I love Jefferson. I think he's great.
Jefferson has been good. Yeah,
and there's obviously Claypool. Like, he has been unreal so far. Claypool.
Yeah,
so
agreed.
For me, it has to be Claypool, but they always give it to quarterbacks usually. So it's between Herbert and Burrow, really. But for me, it will be Claypool.
I'm similar. Claypool is right up there. I do think Burrow is pretty good, though. I do think he has been thrust into a really poor team. So it's really a hard question that at this stage of the season, because
Tua could do bits. You never know; they could win the rest of the season.
And like we just said, and Herbert's just come in. He's looked pretty good. So, I mean, the Chargers are better than the Bengals. There's no two ways about it. So Herbert's probably got an easier job. Dolphins are probably on a par with the Bengals, really.
They're doing okay. I think they're 3 for 3 this season, the Dolphins, which is surprising.
Yeah, they are the Jets in their league, so.
And the Patriots.
Yeah, and the Patriots.
The Patriots.
And their gash. I don't know. I'm just flicking through now some of the teams.
T. Higgins has got quite a few touchdowns this season. Big T. Higgins, the number one T. Higgins.
Great name.
I'm a fan of obviously Henry Ruggs, but I need to take my bias out of it, because I do think Ruggs brings a whole different dimension to the Raiders anyway. Even if he's just opening up his legs and making the cornerback scramble after him a little bit, it makes things better for us. I can't look beyond Claypool, really, for consistency in rookies. I think he's probably winning for me.
Yeah, I think obviously everyone looks at offense as well, but I want to say for defense, it's got to be, for me anyway, Antoine Winfield Jr., our safety, because again, our defense has been so fucking good this season. He's got like 2 sacks this season already as for a safety. And he's just, for me, he's only played about 3 games as well. I think he's looked so good so far, Winfield. So I think due to our defence being what it is, I think he's probably going to win it. But you never know, defensively anyway.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Chase Young up there after hearing that stat about Washington having the number 1 pass rush defense. They're going to look at it being him. I don't even know what his stats are, to be fair. I'm a bit of a stickler for defense. Obviously, I look at ours, but I don't really look at much else. I'm one of those. I prefer the offensive side of the ball. But yeah, I don't know. Like I say, I'm going to stick with Clyde for offensive. It'd be interesting. It'd be really good to look back at this actually when it's announced.
Yeah, I think Edwards Hilaire at Chiefs has got his he's got his work cut out really. They've got Le'Veon Bell, haven't they? So and they've got DeAndre Washington as well, which they took. They got from the Raiders. He's very much a third down running back. We had 2 very similar, Jalen Richard and DeAndre Washington. And Richard had better productivity, so I guess that's why Washington went. But I like Washington, and I think he looks good. I don't know if it's because he's short. He looks really, really fast. And his legs are working probably twice as hard as a tall running back, someone like Latavius Murray at the Vikings, maybe. But he does look pretty good. But I think he's got his work cut out and probably won't see as much of the ball. Saying that, he's seen a lot of the ball in a minute, isn't he? So.
I mean, they always say that famous stat: if you've got 2 running backs, you don't really have 1 good running back. But I think now, obviously, you've seen how Rojo and Fournette's done for our running backs, and I say the Chiefs have got obviously like Le'Veon Bell coming in as well. You've got that resting. You've got 2 amazing running backs to try and make these runs. You're going to be doing that every play. You don't need that rest in between and then, we need to wait for our best running back to come on and do it. You've got Fournette, the powerhouse, and Rojo to hit those yards. So, and then, like you said, you've got Le'Veon Bell now. I reckon this is going to be like a new trend. Everyone's going to try and get 2 running backs. Yeah,
well, we've got 2, Jalen Richard and Josh Jacobs. So we've got another one as well, which.
We've got like LaShawn Vaughn, and he's just like he's just there for like that extra player when you need.
We won't talk about ours.
Didn't we have a question from?
I've got 2 more questions.
We had a question from Josh Davis, didn't we?
That was going to be my next question, and we got one just after that. Historically, when 2 teams have met with an unbeaten record of 5-0, the winning teams have always gone on to reach the Super Bowl. Are the Steelers destined for the Super Bowl, or will they end this stat?
Interesting. I think to answer that, you have to look at the AFC and who they are probably going to come up against before they get to the Super Bowl. And you're going to have Kansas City in the mix. You're going to have the Ravens in the mix. You're going to have Tennessee Titans, I think, in the mix. So you're going to have the Bills as well. So they're going to come up against some really, really tough sides. You look at the teams that are in the mix for wildcard spots. You've got all the Raiders that are in the hunt at the minute. You've got the Browns are there or thereabouts right now. I know they've played some poor teams, but I'd like to think, again, my bias is coming in. I like to think we give them a good game, but the Steelers look really, really good. Yeah. Are they better than Kansas City? Not sure. Are they better than Lamar Jackson? Not sure. Are they better than the Bills? I think so. They are better than Tennessee, which has been. But
I think Steelers have got a chance. This is one of their best one in years. Like Big Ben has just turned it on again, hasn't he? So,
but he's garbage.
He's got the weapons around
6-0
him.
though, isn't he?
Making it.
Yeah.
Their defense has won them a lot of games.
Yeah, I think
again, it could just go completely wrong and they lose the next 6 games and they're 6-6. So.
They've got the Ravens this week. That's going to be a very interesting game.
Divisional game as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I've looked at the Steelers fixtures and they've got plenty more wins left. If I'm being completely honest with you.
Look at the teams whilst you're looking at it. Who've they beaten so far?
Giants.
Yeah.
So let me just get it over. I've got them
They just
saved
beat
here.
Tennessee,
So
which they unbeaten. So
yeah,
That was the big 5-5 game, wasn't it?
yeah,
So they beat the Giants first, then the Broncos, then the Texans, then the Eagles, then the Browns.
So
They
they're
had
all
no
pretty
test up
poor
until the
teams.
Titans, and then they beat the Titans by 3. So they've got the Titans, then the back-to-back now with the Ravens is a tough game, but then they've got the Cowboys, which they'll piss, the Bengals, which they'll piss, the Jags, which they'll piss, back to the Ravens, the Washington team that they'll then piss.
Have they literally just got like the easiest schedule in the world? No, they're not making the Super Bowl. When they start playing the Chiefs and everyone, they're gone.
Yeah,
they're gone.
Then you've got the Bills, and then you're back to Bengals, Colts, and Browns. So
I mean,
for me,
Colts
they've
is
got
the hardest one out of all of that.
3 tough games left. Ravens twice, and
I'll take the Colts. I rate the
the
Colts.
Bills once.
Yeah, Colt. Well, I rate most of the Colts. I don't rate Philip Rivers. I think he's phony. But yeah, it's between them.
That's a pretty easy schedule. I mean, come on.
To get to the playoffs.
I mean, yeah, if you had that schedule, you'd love it. You'd like.
Let's be clear. The
14-2.
reason Josh has asked this question is because he wants us to wax lyrical about the Chiefs. He wants us to sit there and go, no, they're not going to get through because the Chiefs are in the AFC. But just to appease him, I think the Chiefs go from the AFC, not the Steelers.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I agree.
I'm going to go out there and be the only one that says the Chiefs aren't making the Super Bowl this year.
Go on, Jamie.
I mean, that wasn't the question.
I hope it's not the Chiefs Bucks, because that'll be another shit fucking Super Bowl for me.
I'd love it Gruden Bucks this Super Bowl. Would you love it the Raiders Bucks Super Bowl?
If it was the Raiders Bucks, I'd fancy us to win that, because Gruden will probably just fight every person on the pitch that isn't wearing black.
But no, I know that wasn't the question, but I don't think Chiefs are as good as last year. I don't think they're gonna.
I don't think they are as good. I think they've got frailties, certainly on defense. I think they're get-attable, if that's the
So I reckon, like, the way Steelers are playing, I know they haven't had that big game yet, but momentum's obviously on their side. So if you had Claypool, I reckon Steelers could beat them. It would be a close game, but I think Steelers might reach the conference final, but whether they can actually go over that finish line, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think they will.
We've had 2 questions on Twitter. We'll actually have 3 ones coming since we've been recording. First up, it's quite an easy one from a good friend of all of ours, Gary. He started explaining point scoring, but only really covered the obvious stuff, such as a touchdown and point after and field goal. What else can score you points?
We said this in the second podcast, I'm pretty sure.
Absolutely correct, Gary. Thanks for not really listening properly, because we have talked about the only ways you can score points. We did touch on safety. We didn't go into it fully, but we definitely talked about a safety, and which is where you score 2 points. The only ways you can score points in an NFL game is a touchdown, a field goal, the points after a touchdown, either a single point or the 2-point conversion, or a safety. So thanks for really paying attention, Gary. Being a good friend of all of ours, I thought you would have watched it.
You can get points with the rest if you're Brady, though.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Yeah, true.
So thanks, guys, but we're going to gloss over that because it's I don't listen to your podcast question. We have another question.
This should be a new segment. Did you really listen this week?
Yeah, that can be one of our questions to respond with. Another question on Twitter from a good friend of ours, Phil. Phil is in our group chat. He's fairly new to NFL, but his question is pretty good, I'll be honest. He's put the Eagles are currently seeded 4th in the NFC. Would you say that is a reflection of the overall lack of quality in the NFC rather than the Eagles' quality? And what, in your opinions, do the Eagles need to do to make the next step up?
They're 4th. I read that completely wrong. They're 4th in the NFC.
They're not. I don't know. I don't know where he's got that.
It's because they're top of the division. They automatically get a 4th seed.
Oh yeah, technically.
Yeah.
So it's a good question.
To break it down, Phil, they're 10th ranked really in the NFC. If you look at your sort of win percentage.
But if you win that league, you're getting that top 4 spot, aren't you?
Yeah, in the 4th seed. Yeah. So I think it's a good question because it opens up the debate about the whole playoff system, the whole ranking system. Because should a team, as we've already mentioned, in that division be given a playoff spot when they're probably going to. Every team in that division will probably finish with a losing record, at best 8-8. So, should they really be given a playoff spot over a team that might finish?
It should be a rule that's put in there.
7,
If a team gets a losing one, they have to give up. I mean, look at our division. Like, we've got 3 teams that are on a winning season so far. You've got Saints, Panthers, and Bucks. It's like, and one or two of them aren't going to make the playoffs because obviously the wild card, you only get 2 of them, don't you? Or is it? It's upgraded to 3 this year, isn't it?
Yeah, the Browns are 5-2 and 3rd in their division.
Yeah.
The Eagles
It is a
2-4.
stinky division. To
Not 2
answer
and
your
4,
question,
aren't
Phil,
they?
I think
2-4-1, isn't it? Something
one
weird like
one
that.
of the problems that any team will have in our division at the moment, because of the rule, is they won't look past the division. The owner just wants to win that division. Hence the reason that you still got your head coach in charge, that as much as he's done what he's done, he's got to go now. He's not good enough for you. You need to get as much draft capital as possible. Fix the holes that you have, both on defense and offense.
That you have. I mean,
you need to
anymore,
look at that quarter. Yeah, you need to look at that quarterback position, because I don't know what the Eagles fan base think of Wentz. I really don't. I don't know, but he's not. I think every other sort of, I'd say 80-20 split across the rest of the NFL fan base. 80% thinking he's shite. 20% think he's got something good about him. Yeah, I don't.
I think that's just loyalty to your brand, though. I think that's completely.
Yeah.
I absolutely love Winston. I know you guys hate him, but I think he's incredible. You love Dan Jones, but he's awful. It's the same thing. I mean, he's your quarterback, so it's the same thing.
Yeah,
it's their quarterback, so they've got to love him. I mean,
this guy here splits a fan base more than anything I've ever seen.
The Raiders fans are something else, though, aren't they?
It just winds me up that I've been into it in previous episodes, so I'll stop.
But I think to sort of carry on, Phil, I think the good thing you'll have is every year you will be in contention of getting that playoff berth, and then anything can happen from there.
And everyone does that banner to say, like, NFC East champion 2020.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
there's one more question that's come through on Twitter. Did you say you had another question as well, Jamie?
No, that was the Phil one, yeah.
There's one more that's come through on Twitter from @Heisenbert. And
Gary Nichols.
Welcome. This sort of ties into something we were going to talk about. It says, I've got a question, and it's as follows. How can anyone approach a game seriously when it takes 4 hours to watch a 60-minute match? If I'm getting into it, how do I see past this barrier of a potential 3 hours downtime?
Gary Nichols is the biggest troll you will ever meet. The guy, I'll just talk about Gary Nichols for those of you who don't know him. But he is an absolute legend. But he is the biggest Twitter troll you will ever meet. Matt, you would absolutely get on with like a house on fire. The sense of humour is exactly the same. You're both bastards.
Ironically, I think he's blocked me on Twitter. we must have had some interaction in the past.
Yeah, definitely controversial opinions will have been shared. But yeah, you're right. It moves on to something we said we sort of want to touch on, this week. And, the game is essentially an hour long. It's 4 quarters of 15 minutes. It's 4 quarters of 15 minutes, but you're right. Games tend to
3 hours
run
and a
throughout
half,
the
usually.
3 hour period.
Like,
yeah.
You have the 6 o'clock game, which should finish around 9, and then your next game start around 9:05, 9:25, up until 12:30 to a degree.
Yeah.
Till 1 a.m. Ready for the next game at 1 till 4.
Yeah. I mean, to answer your question of how do you get past it, you either accept it or you don't, if I'm being honest with you. If you're not willing to sit there for 3.5 hours to watch a game to see whether you like it or not, I can't do anything for you. But if you watch that game and then actually think, this is really good, then you need to accept that you're going to be there for 3.5 hours. Or you can go and buy Game Pass and pick a team and then watch their 40-minute highlights the next day if you want.
The game in 40 is incredible. My big thing I will say for anybody that doesn't want to watch a full game is if you've got Sky, channel 416, from 6 p.m. every Sunday, NFL Red Zone, 7 hours of non-stop commercial-free football. It's literally every play, every touchdown is on there. So you don't have the whole boring stop and start. If it's at that point, it will go to another game.
Yeah.
If nothing's happening in this one, it will go to where something's happening. So it's action for 7 hours straight. And Scott Hanson is the boy.
Jeff Stelling of NFL.
Yeah. I think that's the way you should be bred into it. You know, I know when I started watching NFL, it was because it was on in the background. I would have never sat and watched a full game. It was just on, and either I was playing Football Manager or doing something else, you know, when it was on. And then you, like you say, you've got your red zone where it's just the good action that you see, and then from there you then may become invested in a team, and from then that's when you throw your life away and support the Giants and watch 3 hours of shite every single week.
Especially in the late window.
Apart from the bye week, which I can't wait for.
Especially in the late window, there's only about 3 games that are on, so you see a lot more of the game in that time. So I think it's a nice way to just merge into a full game. I'd say watch Red Zone for a few weeks, and then when you get into that late window, you're going to see a lot more of the games. And then I'd say,
but to be clear, sorry, Joey. To be clear, Gary Nichols has no interest in watching the NFL. He is a troll, and he just put that question out there to be the troll that he is. He's just had a newborn. So congratulations, Gary. I'm sure you'll be up many a night, which I'm really happy about. To be fair, but why not fill your time watching NFL? Exactly. And I wish you and yours all the best, mate. Keep up the good fight on Twitter. I love watching you on Twitter. You're brilliant. I just wish you'd get back on sort of the nightclub pages, absolutely trolling the photos. Please bring that Gary back. That was the best.
But yeah, just what I was finally going to say about the NFL Red Zone. If I can remember now, what was it?
Sorry, Jamie.
To be honest, you're not paid to think, you're paid to produce, mate.
Say
when evils get paid.
Like I said, you just got to watch it. Yeah, that was it. The only thing that I hate about watching the NFL on Sky is the cut back to the studio. I absolutely hate it. It's the only reason I watch my games on Game Pass, because I prefer the American adverts and Neil Reynolds in the studio. No, nothing wrong with Neil Reynolds. Like, sometimes I don't mind it, but the amount of times he can cut back to the studio and just talking to some random people from inside the Huddle podcast, I'm like, I don't care, mate. I'd rather watch my boy Jake from State Farm doing it for bits with Mahomes and Rodgers. So, Jake from State Farm, if you're listening, I love you. Come on.
We want you on.
I think he does listen.
Yeah.
I think that's. I don't think we've got anything else. We were going to predict.
No, I think.
Yeah, predict.
I think we'll also probably in another episode touch on a bit more of the stop-start, just why it is so stop-starty, you know, why it can be longer than the 15 minutes that is on the clock. But I think for now we won't entertain, but and we'll go on to our predictions of the AFC and NFC, like you say.
I think we have almost covered it slightly early with the question about the Steelers anyway. But as it stands, I do think it will be the Steelers be the Chiefs in the AFC game. Can't see anybody. The AFC is stacked, as you said. There's a lot of teams in there that can beat a lot of teams. I just think Big Ben's experience, I don't like him, but his experience, he's been there before. He might come up against somebody like Josh Allen, who hasn't been there before. He might come up against Tannehill, who's pony. And I think the Ravens are divisional rivals of theirs, so that'll be interesting to see how they do against them. Because obviously Lamar walked that division last year, didn't he? So I do think Steelers Chiefs from the AFC, and I also think you can't look much past the Bucs and the Seahawks in the NFC. Green Bay will be sniffing, probably, but I think when all is said and done, I think it'll be between Wilson and Brady in the NFC.
Have you seen NFC West, by the way? Just having a look at it, it's fucking mental. Like,
um,
every
49ers.
team is on a winning season. Like, you've got the 49ers bottom on 4-3, Rams and Cardinals 5-2, and Seahawks 5-1. It is
Strong, isn't it?
insane. And then, like I said, Panthers. I said before, Panthers were on a winning season. You lost, didn't we, to the Saints? So it's now they're 3-4, and then Saints are 4-2. So Saints do have a game in hand. So I mean, they could still go top of our division. So yeah, I mean, we do have to play them again. I think they did beat us in the first game of the season. So, but I still think Saints.
I've got mine written down, Matt. Yeah. They're a weird one. I've got mine written down, Matt, and they are the same as yours. However, I've put Ravens/Steelers because I think until I see this week's game, I don't know. I'm inclined to go with the Steelers, and I'm going to put it out there and probably go with the Steelers. I normally like to go against the trend, and I normally pick the Ravens, but they haven't looked as special this year. And Lamar Jackson is striking me as a bit Cam Newton-y and a bit dummy out after last year and has not got that point to prove and maybe starting to get pissed off with the talent around him. And just doesn't seem to, last year he was the MVP and all you heard every week, wasn't it, was Lamar this, Lamar that, Lamar this, Lamar that. How many times have you heard about him this year? I know we heard about him when the Chiefs absolutely shut him down. But other than that, he's going under the radar. Whether that's a good thing for him or not, for me, for the type of person I think he is, and he's very out there and loves the attention, the same as sort of like Ingram, it's a bad thing that he's under that radar. He's not doing the special things that Lamar can and has done. So, yeah, I'd be very interested to see how the likes of sort of Bud Dupree and TJ Watt do against him on Sunday. I think that'll be very, very interesting.
Yeah, I want to say with the Ravens as well, because obviously they're second in their division behind the Steelers. Has the same division ever fought for the conference title before? I assume it doesn't happen a lot. But if it's Steelers-Ravens for the conference, then...
Don't they... No, they don't preempt.
Do they meet before it?
Well, no.
I can't remember.
So... I don't know.
I think I'm sure there is something in place to stop that happening.
That's something we're going to have to investigate for next week and come back with our findings.
Yeah.
I vaguely remember seeing from a couple of years ago, if certain teams want
to say, like, if Chiefs and Raiders got there, they can't face each other in the AFC final.
Yeah, I'm sure. We'll have to... Good question from Jamie.
From me.
We'll have to look at that, but I am sure there is something. Do you know what? I'm going to Google it now. Let's see if I can get an answer. Because
it's a good question. I mean, it's just a weird thing that I just came up there because I was looking through where Ravens are, and I was like, I can't find them. Then I realised they were second in the division, and I was like, okay, because Steelers obviously unbeaten. But I don't know. I can't look behind Derrick Henry. I think Titans. This is probably going to be. Look, like I said, I don't think Chiefs are as good as what they are, and I think Titans could in the playoffs just turn it on. So I'm saying it's between the Titans and maybe the Steelers. I think Steelers, again, I think they've got an easy round. Like when you went through those fixtures, I thought if they come up against some hard teams, I don't think they're going to do as well. So, like you said, we'll see how well he does against Lamar, Big Ben. But for me, I'm thinking Titans for the AFC and then Seattle for NFC. I'd love us to make it to the Super Bowl. I'd absolutely love it, but I'm a massive Russell Wilson fan, so I can't look past.
I think the thing is, though, like,
and the Packers as well. So
we were saying about the Steelers haven't played anyone. The Titans haven't really. So they've beat the Broncos by 2. They beat the Jags by 3. They beat the Vikings by 1. They drilled the Bills, fair enough. They beat Texans by 6 in overtime. And then they lost the Steelers by 3. So I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at their fixtures, and to be fair, they've got quite...
And then you look at us, and we've smashed every team we've nearly played besides the Bears. So I don't know. It's like, it's one of those. Like, would you rather win comfortably or just see out a game? Because again, what's more?
I mean, you just want to win, don't you? Regardless.
What's more true to somebody going to the playoff? Would you rather see somebody win by 30 points? I'm sure that's what the Chiefs did last season. They went on to smash the whole the league, didn't they? So they weren't winning games by field goals or last-minute plays. They were annihilating games and basically shutting them down before the fourth quarter even started and just seeing out the game. But yeah, I mean, there are some very close divisions this year. Like I said, looking through them so far, I know it's all going to change, but there are some divisions like NFC North, Packers, Bears, and Lions are all on a winning season. You've got NFC West, every team's on a winning season. And then you've got the NFC South, we've got Bucks and the Saints, and then you've got the atrocity of the NFC East, which, is anybody going to get a winning season?
So strong.
And then, like,
found
the
anything,
AFC,
Matt?
Yeah, they can mate. Yeah.
has anybody actually done it?
I didn't Google that far.
Fair enough. I'm gonna look into that because I think it'll be. I could probably see if that's the case. Then maybe Steelers and Ravens, they could meet in the AFC conference. But I mean, like 6-0 and 5-1,
aren't you?
Yeah, I'm going to comfortably say it right now. Chiefs are not winning the Super Bowl.
Again, it'll be good to come back to this episode, see how our predictions.
And the Chiefs smashed the Bucks in a shutout Super Bowl.
But yeah, I think in the NFC, it's the Seahawks and Bucks for me.
Yeah.
You hate Aaron Rodgers though, so I took Green Bay have an outside chance.
I do think the Packers,
again.
like I said, they'll be sniffing around. The Bears might be having a little look, just because they've got a pretty good defense. Offensively, they are terrible.
Yeah.
So you're talking about our main one. Who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl? And I want from each of you, who's going to win and who's the dark horse? Who's going to win the Super Bowl? Who's your outside chance to get there?
I'll start because I have to change my prediction from the first episode we did because I said the Patriots were going to win it. And Jesus Christ, I mean, how wrong can I be with how they're playing at the moment? And did you say, Matt, earlier, Gilmore's on the trade block as well?
I think so, yeah.
Probably their best defensive player. Outrageous.
So,
yeah. So I think that says all about what they believe their chances are for the rest of the season and sort of where they're going. So I think I'm going to go Chiefs to win it. Not an original choice, I know, but there's just something about Mahomes that I think he's going to be so hard to beat. He's just elite, and he'll put that team even when they're struggling on the back. Le'Veon Bell was a huge signing for the playoff run. And underdogs, I think I said it in the start of the season. The Cardinals. I said it might have been a little bit too early for them, but I thought they were going to have a good season. They started a bit rocky, but they're looking strong now. Are they 5-2?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm going to go out with Cardinals as the underdogs, dark horses.
Matt?
I'm going to change my prediction. I think I went Chiefs way back when, and I'm going to switch it up. And I'm going to say the Bucks now. I don't want it to happen.
I don't know how bad like football.
I don't want it to happen, but I do think they're getting better and better every week.
Could you imagine if we had actually had a pre-season, how good we'd probably be?
I think the pieces of that puzzle are sort of fitting into place now. And as I mentioned earlier, they want to win now. Yeah. And signing Antonio Brown is, in my opinion, stupid as it might be. His talent has never been questioned. His temperament definitely has. He's an absolute bellend. Yeah. But if you can get past that and you've got the 2017 Antonio Brown, then that's a hell of a player to have knocking about. So I'm gonna go with the Bucks to win it. Raymond James as well. That would be pretty impressive. I don't know if a team has won the Super Bowl in their own stadium. I'd have to have a look at that because it'd be incredible for.
It just feels like destiny's aligning for it.
Yeah,
Brady
that's
to
what
win
the
his
Vikings
seventh.
said, mate.
Brady to win his seventh, win it at the home stadium. I reckon if we win it, Brady might not play that second year and he'll probably retire.
I didn't realise he was on $25 million a year. I thought we got him cheap. That still puts him in.
He's worth it.
still puts him in the top sort of 6 or 7 in the NFL.
So at the age of 43 as well. I mean, he has just become the overall leader in total touchdowns at 559. Breeze just sneaking behind him 558. So those two elite quarterbacks are incredible. I mean,
I think all his money's guaranteed for this year, next year as well. I'm sure it is.
I'm saying if we somehow do win it, I reckon he won't play next season because why else? Why else would you want to play again? You've gone to another team, proved it's not just the Patriots. That you've come to a failing Bucs team, and then you've gone in and obviously won the Super Bowl. So yeah, I reckon that would cement him to be the greatest player of all time by far.
Just to rewind a little bit, no team has ever played at home in the Super Bowl, never mind won it. The Vikings were obviously close, weren't they? But they were a game away, which I loved.
That's what we're going to be out.
But yeah,
we're going to lose. We're going to lose to Aaron Rodgers in the championship.
Falcons were a season too early as well. I'm sure they got to the Super Bowl in the year after.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
phenomenal stadium that they've got. Dark horse. Ooh, I can't remember who I said as a dark horse way back when. I think I went with the Raiders actually. They're not. I think I might have done.
I think you might have. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. It's tough. Dark horse. Who do we not think is gonna? Based on where teams are at now, I'll probably go Chicago Bears.
I mean, they did beat us. They were one of our only 2 losses, so had a pretty good season.
No reason.
2 losses so far.
Yeah, Khalil Mack is a monster, and I do like him. But yeah, Bears. I don't think anyone's got them on the radar really. They're gonna have to come up against some pretty. Well, they've already beat the Bucs, but they're gonna have to play the Seahawks. Don't know if they already have.
Let's have a look. They've got the Saints this weekend, Titans, Vikings, Packers, Lions, Texans, Vikings, Jags, Packers.
Yeah, so
that's tough running now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean,
Vikings,
you say that.
Vikings and Jags,
and Jags and Vikings.
That's 3 wins.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to face obviously
Texans
the Vikings twice.
I think they'll be
Texans
as well.
Yeah, Texans losing season, Jaguars losing season. Jaguars, Vikings, Texans all losing seasons. So that could be 4 wins there. And then you've got Saints and then the Titans and the Packers. And Lions, which, sorry, Bones, but probably an easy win.
Yeah, Lions division, isn't it? Yeah, I'll go Bears. There you go, as a dark horse.
I like it. Well, then, Jamie, over to you.
I'm sticking by Seahawks. I can't see it. I know they didn't play that well at the weekend, but I can't look beyond Russell Wilson. Yeah. I was debating what dark horse to go for, but then I was like, well, they've played okay, but then I realised it's all been against the NFC East. So I was like, no, I was going to say the Rams, but then they've all played the NFC East, so anyone can win those games. So I'm probably going to have to say, I can't look. It pains me to say, but I still think the Saints have a chance. Like, the Saints are a very, very good team. I know they've had a lot of injuries, but they can turn up. We lost to them at the first game of the season, but I think Saints can still have a good season. And
isn't Michael Thomas on the trade block?
Yeah, rumours are doing the rounds.
Yeah,
so that says it for me for what the Saints think about their chances.
But they're 4-2 at the moment with a game in hand.
But they're in your division.
Yeah, but all they have to do is beat us and then, like I said, win. I mean, they could still make the playoffs. They could still top the division, I reckon. You never know what can happen in 3 weeks' time. We could revisit this 5 weeks and Saints are like 2 games clear of us. You never know. That's the beauty of American football. You can go into it all confident.
Yeah.
And then that's why I never say that we're going to win the Super Bowl. I'd rather happily have it as a surprise. I don't want to go in too confident. So hopefully it'll be a good game on Monday. As long as it's an entertaining game, I don't care if we win or lose. I say that out loud.
I get it.
But, inside, if we lose, it's fucking embarrassing, isn't it? But,
It is embarrassing.
I'd rather win a game 6-3 than lose a game 45-44.
Yeah.
I think any game that doesn't have a touchdown shouldn't have been a game. If
I'd
any
rather
team
the
doesn't
games-
score a touchdown,
10-7 then.
yeah. If any, like again, like that's why I put that down. It's like Washington 25 and Cowboys 3. I mean, to not score a touchdown in a game, that's the whole thing you're supposed to do in American football. You have about 20 chances in a game to score a touchdown, and if you can't do that in 60 minutes, you've had a terrible
You've not
game.
watched the Giants enough, mate.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, that's the only thing that put us off that Bears game. We got 1 touchdown and like 4 field goals. It was ridiculous. But they stopped our offense. So, I mean, that's good on a defense way. But like you said, we're offensive watchers, so we enjoy watching that offense and watching the touchdown, watching those spiking the balls. So, but yeah. Hopefully
So I think
that
that's
boy's
probably
gonna turn
time
up again.
to wrap it up before Jamie starts going on about Gronk over and over again. You'll probably notice it's been a bit of a subdued episode. I think myself and Matt are definitely still feeling this weekend's results. So be prepared for that for me next week and the oncoming weeks because we are just terrible. But at least we'll have Jamie, who probably will be with a win most weeks. Definitely next week.
And it's the
to
same
keep us
after.
going. But
I can't wait till playoff season when we don't have anything to talk about, 2 of us.
yeah,
None
I'm
of us
buzzing.
are in
Bring
the
on bye
playoffs.
week. Bring on bye week and bring on the off season. I can actually sit and look forward to this podcast rather than dread it. But yeah, thanks again for listening, guys. As always, keep the support coming. Make sure you like, follow, subscribe, all that business. Get in touch if you want to come on. We've still got a few guests lined up, but we're happy to have people on all the time.
Got
Be
some
interesting to
special
hear from anyone, even if you,
like industry professionals, not just
Yes. But even if you know you're just getting into it and you want to come on and ask some questions, just come on and ask some questions. I'm more than happy to. So Matt, will hand over to you as per usual with all the handles.
Don't know why I can't remember TikTok. I don't use it. But yeah, we've got, I think it's YouTube is Third and Short UK, I think it is. Twitter's Third Short Pod, or something like that. I just searched Third and Short Podcast. Although one of our friends did text us the other day, Tom. Dan Jones saying he found another Third and Short podcast from America, but that was more based on, I think, college football, wasn't it?
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's
Facebook,
shit, so don't listen to it.
yeah, and what do they know? They just live over there. We what's is it Third and Short Podcast?
They do a
on Facebook?
podcast about kids.
Yeah, yeah, not safe for children. Certainly this week, I'm already thinking of what clips I'm going to drum up tonight and tomorrow, because I've got some belting ideas from what's gone on. I think there might be no, I'm not going to ruin the surprises, but because I think you particularly enjoyed the ones I did last week, so I didn't tell you what I was going to do, did I? But yeah, get on Twitter and all that sort of stuff. Follow us, like us, all that sort of shit that Tom said there. I don't get it myself, but you know, we're looking to bring some pretty big guests from our point of view. We also want some not big guests. I'd really like to speak to somebody who isn't into NFL or is just getting into it or is brand new.
I thought you were saying Josh then who didn't know about the NFL. So I was like,
no, I want somebody who I want somebody who knows what NFL is. So that sort of rules Josh out there a little bit. Only kidding, Josh. You know what it is because your team won. I really want to speak to people who aren't so much into American football because, like the question we had before from your mate who
Jimmy One Monk or Aaron?
From Gary
Jimmy
Nichols, was it? The question today where it was about it taking 4 hours and it's a 60-minute game. That sort of thing I'd love to discuss with somebody who really doesn't follow NFL, who's probably somebody who's against it. I think that could be quite an entertaining episode. We'll obviously rinse you to bits, but if you're brave enough,
If Gary listens to this, I promise you now there will be an inbox he will want to come on.
Yeah, I'm all for
I am
that.
not being here for that episode. It's purely you and him.
All the best. So far, we actually said it's not going to be a long episode this week.
It's the longest one that we've ever
It's probably
done.
been our longest.
Yeah.
And this is probably with the added clip of Claire as well. It's going to be longer than that. And there's no special guest. It's just us.
Yeah,
The Bucks should
yeah,
win every week.
which is surprising because I didn't want to do it this week. If you'd have asked me yesterday, I told you to piss off. Yeah, it's
agreed.
I'm quite
it's,
subdued. I'm not that type of person that would just like to rub it in your face anyway. And I hopefully you wouldn't have done the same.
I fucking would have done.
I know you would have.
No, I was fair with us beating the Chiefs. That was a bigger result for me. It was a ghost in your room there, mate. Yeah, beating the Chiefs was a bigger result for me, being divisional and they're the current Super Bowl champions. That victory meant something. Beating the fake Patriots wouldn't have meant as much, I don't think. But yeah, it's still something we're going to keep ploughing on with. We really want to get our subscribers up. We are thinking of doing some sort of giveaway. We're not quite sure what yet, but stay tuned, keep listening.
If I buy an Antonio Brown jersey and he leaves, that'll be up for grabs. So you never know.
I'll probably want to win that one because I've got some matches to use. But yeah, keep try and keep this going. Share it, like it, all that sort of stuff. Retweet it and all that business. And let's
asking questions as well. Like I said,
yeah, we're getting more and more questions every week, aren't we? If you are going to ask a question, listen to our former episodes to see if we've already answered it, because I think we've had 2 questions this week that we've already answered. So I don't really want to get any questions next week on is Joe Burrow the guy?
What's a safety?
Yeah, and if people are still listening at this point, we're probably an hour and 40 into the episode, I imagine. And if you are still listening, just fucking listen to the rest. Yeah, that's all for me. I'm going to go to bed.
Yeah. So we'll see you next week.